Well, hello there, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to another video. Today we've got a top 5 video once again, and it is concerning the top 5 modern Batman comic books. Now, for those of you who have been following my channel for quite some time, you know that I'm not very much into modern contemporary comic books from the last, say, 10 years. Tastes differ, and to each his or her own, and I prefer 90s and 80s comics and comic books from the early odds, and my opinion is that comic books nowadays are not as good as they were in the past. It's just my opinion. Your opinions might, of course, differ, but nevertheless, there are some bright gems, and because Batman is my all-time favorite superhero, I have decided to pick 5 comic books from the last, say, 5 years and make up a list of the 5 best collected Batman stories and recommend them to you. Now, this list is not a countdown. There is no first place, second place. I'm just talking about them as they come up my mind. The first one I can think of is Batman Metal, the original event by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, the main event, which is a cosmic event, a grand event that introduced the concept of the Dark Multiverse into DC Comics. The Dark Multiverse is, we could say, a flip side, a mirror side of our universe, or say DC Multiverse, in which everything went wrong, in which each and every single bad dream or bad decision came true, especially as far as Batman goes. And this particular series gave us one of the greatest looking alternative Batman in the history of DC Comics universe. We've got Batman, alternative Batman, who made different choices than our very well-known Batman from the main DC continuity. So they are the dark Batman. For example, the Batman Who Laughs, the main villain, who is a Bruce Wayne who decided to kill the Joker, who had a poison in his veins that was released in a form of gas when he was killed, and whoever kills the Joker then becomes the next Joker. So imagine the brilliant mind and body and skills of Bruce Wayne combined with the absolute madness and evil of the Joker. We get the Batman Who Laughs, one of the greatest modern and contemporary villains of DC Comics. Then we've got some sort of a spin-off, we could say, of this event, and that is the Batman Who Laughs, which is a story that is less cosmic, less grand, less complicated, where Batman Dark Knight's Metal was more about the brilliant and perfect, shall we use the word? We shall. The perfect art of Greg Capullo, and the badassness and all the great and badass and 90s looking things that we could look at thanks to Greg Capullo. This is more about the story. It was illustrated by Jock, so it is also very, very good as far as art goes. But this is more of a street level comic book, especially then the one shot which is focusing on the Grim Knight, which is yet another alternative version of Batman, where Bruce Wayne decided to use guns and kill people instead of, not killing people and having this code as our main Batman is. So he is, in essence, truly a combination, a mixture of Batman and the Punisher, and he has instantly become one of my favorite alternative Batman because he is so badass. And to see what Batman could achieve if he finally decided to use guns is very scary. And just a mention, I will not go very much into the stories in this video because I don't want to spoil much. You will just have to rely on my recommendations. Then we've got Batman Damned, a comic book miniseries by Lee Bermejo and Brian Azzarello, which was the first comic book that was released under the headline of the Black Label, DC Black Label. And let me tell you, a lot of people didn't like it. There was a lot of controversy around this particular comic book because, in the first printing of the first issue, we could see Batman's penis. And no, you could not show that, although DC Black Label was originally supposed to be for adult-oriented content. Well, but, then in the next printings and in the collected edition they erased it. So it is basically an LSD trip of our main hero Batman throughout Gotham City and searching for the truth of the Joker's death, if he died or not. And he meets many great supporting characters, such as a twisted version of Harley Quinn, Swamp Thing, and he is accompanied by our all-time favorite, John Constantine. So I quite very much enjoyed that one. We could mention, of course, Dark Knight's Death Metal, but I did not enjoy the sequel to the Dark Knight Metal as much as the original one. So instead of this, I will mention Batman's Grave by Warren Ellis, which is the most recent of the Batman comic books I'm going to be talking about. And it's a true detective story where Batman, or Dark Knight's Metal, is a cosmic grand epic about the bad god and the dark gods of Batman and the dark multiverse, and Batman being the key to the DC multiverse, and Batman Who Laughs being this dark and grim story which spun off from Dark Knight's Metal, and Batman Damned was this LSD trip focusing on Batman and John Constantine. Batman's Grave is a story in the vein of the 80s Batman detective stories. And last but definitely not least, we've got Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy, both written and illustrated by him, I believe. It was also, I think, a part of Batman, the DC Black Label, and it's once again an alternative version of Batman, in which, is it a spoiler? Well, we get to know something about the Joker that we are not very much used to. He basically made the Joker into Jack Napier, and there are many other homages to 1989's Batman. It's really a flip of the roles between Batman and the Joker. It's not as if Joker became the hero or the superhero of the story and Batman the main villain, although it is a little bit. Let's say it is a very interesting alternative story about the switching of the roles of Batman and the Joker. And the art is absolutely brilliant. You've got Sean Gordon Murphy. What more would you like? I did thoroughly enjoy reading Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy. So these were my top 5 modern contemporary Batman comic books. We've got Dark Knight's Metal, The Batman Who Laughs, Batman Damned, Batman's Grave, and Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these new Batman comic books, what you thought about them, and how you would rank them. I would like to hear all about it. And that would be all from me. Thank you very much for watching, and bye.